Everybody, happy Labor Day weekend, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where I live stream every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Um, for those that may be new, my name is Laura Joseph. I am owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We're an international educational center where we teach people all over the world how to empower animals through training and behavior change. And we do that through our live streaming services that you can find here on our website at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. You can also follow us on our Facebook page, Instagram, and TikTok, and LinkedIn. And I'm sure there's other ways, but I just forgot. So I've been live streaming every Sunday morning, Coffee with the Critters, for probably 8 years. And I talk about the topics of, good morning. I talk about the topics of applied animal behavior using the science of behavior, B.F. Skinner's laws of behavior. And I show people how to interact with animals and teach them to do the things we need them to do for their better welfare without the use of force. Through applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement. And what I have learned is positive reinforcement, the applications are often misunderstood. If you haven't watched our last week's episode of Coffee with the Critters on when positive reinforcement isn't positive anymore, be sure to take a look at that. We've been getting a lot of feedback from a lot of different people via our email. And you can always email me at Laura, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. We've been asked, do we give individual classes? Yes, we do, online. Are we able to travel and give workshops? Yes, we do. That's one of major things we do. People also come to us for workshops and learn hands-on how to better understand behavior through training and enrichment. We have several different workshops. We're working on our workshops for 2024. I can't believe we're talking about 2024 already, but you can find our events that were already scheduled on here on our Facebook page and on our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com, under events. We have an upcoming workshop next month, October, the second week in October. We haven't had a parrot enrichment workshop in quite a while, and we've scheduled one, a 2-day workshop, which is happening at the Animal Behavior Center, and we already have people signing up for that. And in that workshop, where do I even start? We're going to talk about numerous different things. We're going to have you do numerous different things. We're going to show you what we do, how we do it, why we do it, our behavior goals in creating enrichment. And the reason we chose parrots is because parrots are often misunderstood, their behavior. Some common behavior issues are plucking, screaming, self-mutilation, lunging, biting. And you have seen through the work that we do how we change that behavior. We're known to bring in different parrots from different organizations, train them, live stream, show how we change that behavior, and give them back up to the organization or have them adopted out. So, I do have a link for the upcoming workshop if you want to see that. If parrots are not of interest to you, we do have numerous other workshops. I was just asked yesterday if people can come in and train with me for the weekend. Absolutely, you can. Just get in touch with me via my email, and we show how to train numerous different behaviors in with numerous different animals, because you understand better when you're working with, you understand behavior better when you're working with species of animals that you may not be familiar with. So keep an eye on our applied animal behavior workshops for 2024. They are over for this year, and I thank you for all of those that trust in the work that I do. So today we're going to have, today's topic was supposed to be on enrichment, but something happened yesterday where I had to switch topics real quick. So I do plan on focusing on enrichment for next week, and I'm going to be presenting it to you in a different format. And I do want to take this week to sit down and make sure I've got all the quirks worked out. So when I put on Coffee with the Critters, it's a lot of work for me. I start on it on Thursdays, and usually am sitting up working Saturday night until 10:30 to be able to bring this to you. So with that being said, I also have been making contacts and I'm going to be bringing on some unique content with unique guests. We've got one coming up scheduled in February. I know that may seem like a long time away. I'm also working on another contact who's in South Africa right now. So we're correlating getting a time scheduled. And just to let you know, I am going on vacation. In a couple weeks, I'll be going on vacation. So right before I go on vacation, I'm going to have a cocktails with the critters where we live stream Saturday night, and we do a group live stream where everybody joins me. So I want to thank you for following the work that we do, Coffee with the Critters. We've been bringing it to you for over 8 years. Our live stream services, we have our memberships, which you can find on our website. Which some of our memberships, we're in the process of getting ready just to change the names and some of the graphics, but the content's going to be the same. Level 1 for companion animals. Level 2 for people wanting to see my more intense work with an array of different species of animals. Right now in level 2, we're working with alligators and wolves. But definitely not limited to. And then we have our projects, which are species specific. So you'll see our parrot project, which I will show at the end of this live stream. So I just want to show you an update of a couple of things I've been doing this week, which I did mention alligators. And I know a lot of people don't have alligators or care for alligators. I love them. And when I started working with alligators, I did not understand alligators at all. I never interacted with them. That was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And let me tell you a quick story. And I did do a live stream on where I started with the alligators on Coffee with the Critters several years ago. I remember sitting out there in the enrichment room doing this live stream. So if anybody has questions, just yell at me and say you have a question and I'll start paying attention. But what I noticed is where certain species of animals were being housed that I was asked to work with, I had to cross through where the alligators were in their winter enclosure. And it was Elvis and Priscilla, this is Priscilla standing right in front of me. I can tell which alligator it is just by on the behavior she's giving me. So I had to walk past the alligators to get to, good morning, Deb. Good morning, Jillian. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Iris and Ray, Nicole, everybody. Happy Labor Day. So when I would walk by these gators enclosure in their indoor enclosure, their behavior would change. Instead of staying calm and still, which what they were doing when I walked into the room, as soon as I started walking by, they would point their faces towards the gate where I was walking by, and they would start climbing on the side of the enclosure. Noted. I'm always paying attention to behavior, and I remember going, I wonder why they're doing that. It's obvious that maybe the sound of me walking by was the cue. The door opening to pass their enclosure was the cue. The sight of me could have been their cue. But anyways, in the other room that I had to walk by, good morning, Shelley, were some birds, and in there were some meat-eating birds. And when I would come out of that room and walk by the gators, the same thing would happen. And I remember thinking this behavior serves a purpose. I don't know why it's happening because as soon as I would open that door and walk by them again, they would start climbing the side of the enclosure. So I did that a couple more times. I think I was out there maybe once a week before I stopped a keeper and said, um, when you go into this room where you're feeding the meat eating birds, what do you do with the leftover food? And at the time, it was mice and rats. And they said, well, instead of throwing it away, when we walk out of there, the gators are right there. So we just toss the food in the enclosure. And I was like, bingo. So this is learned behavior. And I remember I was going in another room to work with a different species of animals and I don't remember what, because it was so many years ago. And I said, I'm going to sit down with these gators and I'm going to see if I can provide them some type of enrichment through training since they're going to be housed indoors all winter. And I remember I have that very first footage where I needed to understand. So I pulled up a 5-gallon bucket, flipped it over, sat down on it, was using that as my chair as I was sitting there trying to feed them. And I pulled all that food from the meat eating birds and I started delivering it in pieces. And so they were used to climbing like a begging behavior, the side of their enclosure. So I taught them, what do I want them to do instead? So I taught them instead of having their hands on the side of the enclosure, I wanted to train them to keep their front feet on the floor of the enclosure. So that's when I would, as soon as I would wait, and as soon as their hands would drop, boom, I would bridge, deliver, reinforcer. So you got to be careful here because you could be training them to put their hands on the side and then drop to the ground. And you will know if that behavior is being reinforced if you see this behavior maintain or increase. What I wanted to see was this behavior decrease and this behavior maintain. And I also started paying attention to when I would walk through that room, I would see this happen, but their behavior of going to the floor, putting their hands on the floor, started happening faster. That's observable, measurable behavior that I can tell is like, boom, I am on the right track. So let's see, instead of seeing this happen and this happen faster, now I want to see this just stop happening and this happen. So in order to change a behavior, you need to replace it with another. So the behavior of them on the side of the enclosure was replaced by this behavior. And we just got done talking about this in level 1. I gave out a multiple choice question on asking what behavior this was, and it ended up being extinction. So I want to see this behavior extinguished, meaning reinforcement is delivered at never, and this behavior increasing. So this is differential reinforcement where you extinguish one behavior and shape and reinforce one or more other behaviors. Your other behaviors are desired behaviors, but you need to, a lot of times you can't identify the reinforcer right away. And I will begin a behavior modification plan immediately, even if I don't understand the reinforcer. But at the top of my list is to identify that reinforcer for the undesired behavior, because once I identify it, then I'm going to understand what is causing it to happen. And then I'm going to start using differential reinforcement by delivering the alternate behavior, desired behavior, um, while extinguishing the undesired behavior. So this is where I started training Elvis and Priscilla. And then sitting in front of them, I had to understand how they could see, because I was noticing I was putting food in with some tongs and they weren't reacting with the food coming in right away, almost like they didn't know it was there. So I was going above their head, beside their mouth, down on the ground. Where can they see the best? Or can they see me better when they're facing me head on, like Priscilla is in this photo? Or do they see me better when their head is turned to the side? And then what I was, because what I was having a problem with, it was I was using metal tongs to deliver, and I was delivering food bits about this big, is that when they would go to get it, they would kind of search for where it was. And I was like, wow, I have to understand so much more, because if they turned their head into those metal tongs and it jabbed them in the side of the face, I did not want that to happen. And I was trying so hard to prevent that from happening. But that's an aversive paired with my training, something the animal doesn't like paired with my training. So I can actually positively punish the very behavior I'm trying to train. So then so I started being really predictable, and I would only deliver the food on their left side of their mouth. And I would put it in the same spot every time. So when they turned their head, they could chomp on the food. So that's when predictability has its place. I started being very predictable and always delivering the food in the same spot. So all they had to do was slightly turn their head to the left and they got the food. Then I started training them a station. I would train Priscilla a station on the left, Elvis to station on the right. And then once I got that, I was like, I don't know what other behaviors I can train them this winter to help provide them some type of enrichment. But because I never had a real desire to work with alligators, but they taught me something new and they were responding to me. And that's when my love for them, my appreciation for them began. And I wanted to be able to, each time I do a training session, I am training with that animal. That animal is training me as well. And I am completely fine with that. I want to try to take all unnecessary stress out of their environment, train them to move and do whatever to show and bring appreciation for the species to the public that's watching them. Whenever I go in and train these gators, it's always a guarantee that, and I like to train with my back to the crowd because it's a distraction to me. And I do, and aversive to me is being distracted while training, because my training is my dialogue, excuse me, my interaction, my dialogue with that animal. And when somebody else is talking or there's a distraction, it's interrupting my dialogue with that animal. So I will often train with my back to the crowd, which I'm not doing here. Um, and when I'm training gators, I'm always aware of what is behind me. And I am extremely aware. I remember when this picture was taken that there's a rock behind me, because I never want to get in the alligator strike zone. And Priscilla, this is why nobody else trains the gators right now except for me. This is going to start changing. But Priscilla is very accurate and reliable, but I'm always paying attention for change in behavior. If I ask her for a target and she does not give it, I will take a step back and take a look around everything to my left, to my right, and what is behind me to see if it's a distraction to her. Because I have brought other people in the alligator enclosure with me. It's usually an assistant trainer or a spotter, or they're standing at the gate. Um, and they respond differently. They will, I could label it as shut down. Hey, Sherry, I hope you're having your vacation. They will, and what I mean by shut down is, that's probably not a very accurate label, but they will go down to the ground. They'll rest their head on the ground. They'll turn their head so that other person is always within this line of sight of them. And if they can't see, they'll turn their head the other way, and they will stop responding to my cues. So this lets me know that
I didn't get.
that's right, because I didn't ask you. Um, I said hello
It's
to
nice to be right.
I don't know if you guys could hear that. I said hello to Sherry on here, and my computer thought I said SIRI. Um, but the good thing about that is they will stop moving and stop responding to cues if somebody other than me comes in their enclosure. What I learned from that is, oh, they recognize me as an individual. Good morning, Trace. They recognize my voice. They understand. I don't want to assume they understand what I look like, but I'm always in there with that blue shirt and that blue hat. And I'm always in there with that target stick. And I will move my target stick in different ways. Good morning, Lisa. And like hot days like this, it's going to be in the 90s all week. And I do not like the heat. But one way I do love the heat is when I know it gets 90 and about 100. These gators are moving fast. And that is my positive reinforcement to go in and train them. So what I wanted to say, let's see what next. Oh, I don't necessarily need a target stick this long. I just use it all the time because it's my gator training stick, and I'm trying to make another one so I can disinfect it better because this one is made out of wood and is several years old. But one thing I will do when the gators are warm, they're really active. They move, they run, they'll turn faster, they'll swim faster, they'll recall to me faster. So, one thing I do is when I know when it's a hot day, I'm always like, can I get 1 to 2 spotters, please? And it's not because I'm afraid of them, it's because they're just moving faster than what I'm used to. And I need to know when one's moving behind me. And I never usually put myself in a situation where one is behind me because I don't want to accidentally positively punish any desired behavior of theirs. But when I walk in, I want them to know that they're focusing on the target stick and not on my feet because my shoes are blue and the target at the end of my stick is blue. So I will take that target stick and I will ask either Elvis or Priscilla to come to me. And then I will take that target stick, which is about 3 feet long. And as the alligator is moving towards me, running towards me, whatever, I will place it out to the side. And when I want to see their behavior of coming to me, start to go like this and go off to the target and not come running towards my feet, because that helps in a couple of different ways. I want to know that they understand what I'm asking, and I want them to understand that that behavior will be reinforced. So something that happened this week. Do I know if they see colors? You know what, Therese? I just looked that up the other day because I was looking at replacing my target stick and I wanted to know what colors they could see better and not see. And for whatever reason, I remember I looked it up. I don't know if it was, I thought I heard that reptiles respond to the color red, but when I was reading about alligators, I thought that it was something that they couldn't see as well, red and green. So I ended up coming up with my target stick right now is blue. I ended up coming up with like a neon, not even neon, a bright orange, yeah, almost neon color. I took it in there with me yesterday, but I didn't use it. So, with that being said, something else was really cool that happened this week in level 2. And if you are in our level 2 online membership, which is an annual membership where I live stream my training, interact with the people in level 2, we have group discussions, we analyze each other's videos, we do a lot of things. But what is this, September 3rd? I've got until October next month here in Northwest Ohio. The weather will start changing. It's likely to start changing at the end of September, and it can be very warm in October or it can be very cold in October. You don't know which one because it's fall. So When the temperatures start getting around 72, 70, my gators start moving slower. And when it starts dropping below that, they barely move at all. And then through the winter, if they're kept under 70 degrees, around 65 degrees, they don't eat. And you don't necessarily want to feed them if you don't have the appropriate light on them, um, because that food stays in their stomach and doesn't digest. So we usually don't feed the gators all winter, but it's so cool when they usually come back outside again in May. I ask them where I left off months before, and they remember. And this year, we're going to be paying even closer attention to the gators, and the Animal Behavior Center is going to be responsible for their care all winter long. So we are going to have 3 gators this winter. That would be Elvis, Priscilla, and Bruce. Bruce is getting ready to be transferred back to the center for winter for training. But so because it's September, I know that I'm going to have to move them next month to their winter exhibit. And so I've started training them this. Beak. Crate training. We started crate training, and I live streamed this in level 2. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, my very first session of crate training Priscilla. This is not Priscilla, this is Elvis yesterday. So they know a recall, and I'm training them to walk through what's eventually going to be their crate. And then once they come, I would say they're probably about 7 feet long. I don't know. I tend to exaggerate when it comes to how big an animal is. So now I'm starting to under exaggerate. I think they're about 7 feet long. So I'm finding crates, ways for us to transport a 7-foot long, 120, 130 pound animal. So I'm designing this crate that is a long tube that they walk through, and then we will shut the front and shut the end. And Lena Kelly from the Critchlow Alligator Sanctuary gave me this idea last year when I was training Bruce over the winter. I was like, I don't know if Bruce is going to stay with me. If he does not stay with me, he's going to be transferred to Critchlow Alligator Sanctuary as an education alligator. So I asked her last year, I was like, I don't know if I can keep this gator. This is a gator that was found in a river here in Northwest Ohio. And I just started taking over his training this past February. And I said, if I don't keep Bruce, can you use him? Will you be able to take care of him at the sanctuary? I'm happy to make a donation. And she said, well, it was a private conversation between us. But anyways, she goes, if you want to go ahead and train him these things for when he comes to the sanctuary. So she said, get a PVC. She said, crate train him. And I was like, where am I going to find a crate that size? And she just said, get a large, because Bruce is still pretty small. I'd say he's about 3 feet long. Just get a big PVC pipe and train him to walk into it. Then you shut the front, shut the end, pick him up, move him. I was like, all right. So we had so much to do before that even happened. So she's the one that gave me an idea, and I can't find PVC pipe I need big enough for Elvis and Priscilla. So we made some modifications. Priscilla went through it the very first time. And then the next day I went in and trained her again. Boom, went right through it. So then I called her back around, asked her to come through it. So yesterday I didn't live stream because I didn't think Elvis was going to do it. And there I am kneeling down in front of him, taking a picture, and he did it. We need a little bit more work, but he did it. So I was very excited about that. And I can't believe that our half hour is up already. I guess I must be talking too much. Tim says, now I am meeting people that raise pigeons and loft fly pigeons. It's amazing to see the difference in pigeon with life enriched compared to some other lofts I have visited. I can't thank you enough. From my canine to my macaw to my pigeons. You are very welcome. One more thing I wanted to and then Ray says anyone who has parrot should join the parrot projects. Lots of wonderful information. And Shelley says, and also level 2. Um, I did look into drainage pipes, Shelley. I did. I have something. I went out. Everything is a potential. I went out looking around the other day and I was like, boop, what is that? Where did you get it? Can I get another one so I can tie them both together? And then I'm going to put handles on the outside. And I don't want any jerky behavior when we're transporting the gators. Calm, respectful, pick them up, move. No longer a need for having to capture them. One more thing I do want to mention is um, I did post this on the Animal Behavior Center's Facebook page the other day. We are going to start bringing education to the classrooms. And that will begin this fall. So if you know any teachers that would like live streams of animal behavior training and enrichment, please have them reach out to me. Catherine says, when is the Q&A session? I sent in a question a few weeks ago when questions were being solicited. Right now, Catherine, because this is a Q&A, I am getting ready to end it because I do have a behavior consultation right after this. But if you have questions and you're in level 1, level 2, or the Parrot Project, I usually send out an email letting you know a question is getting ready. A live stream Q&A is getting ready to happen, and you can post your questions there where I will address them, and we have those every month. So if you want to see more about the work we do, we have our online memberships, we have our workshops, a day with the trainer, which several people are requesting to come in and train with me for a couple of days. That is an option. I do that. We have our podcast in level 1 and level 2, which are extremely popular. We also have our webinars. We have our level 1 and level 2 memberships. We also have our projects, the Parrot Project, which is extremely popular. I believe we got about 165 people in there right now. And in the Parrot Project, which I will be live streaming this afternoon, we're going to start the counter conditioning. Last week I showed baseline behavior. We're going to start showing counter conditioning to restraint and how I'm going to approach these hyacinth macaws and start counter conditioning of their fear for the Tau. We also are going to start showing how we train animals for voluntary restraint, well, parrots in the Parrot Project. We also have our webinars, which you can find on our website. We have so many services. I highly suggest you go to our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. Take a look around. If you have any questions, especially with animal behavior training or enrichment, definitely reach out to me, send me an email, and I will respond to you ASAP. So with that being said, I'm getting ready to do an online consultation, and then I'm getting ready to go out and work with the lemurs and the alligators and the wolves this afternoon. So happy Labor Day, everyone. And I will see you next week on Coffee with the Critters, where we're going to talk about animal enrichment. All right, take care. Enjoy your weekend.